Today, I want to talk about the difference between spirituality and religion. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Eleanor, and this is a really sensitive topic for me. I am doing 365 days of sharing my spiritual awakening here on YouTube. I'm an intuitive empath, and I support magical women to attract their divine partner without the rejection of social dating and all the chaos that's out there, by really energetically aligning with the laws of the universe and clearing all of their limitations with a process called recoding. I'm the founder of the Ascendance Code. And I've had a bit of a journey when it comes to religion. And so I can't even believe that I'm coming on here to share this. Today is day 18, I'm pretty sure. And if I got that wrong, please forgive me. It will say it in the title. I've had a really interesting journey when it comes to religion and spirituality. And just hear me out. I grew up in a family that before I was born, my parents were Christian. My mum grew up in a very interesting religion called, what was it? Exclusive Brethren. So almost a bit cultish in a way. It was a very weird religion. And she was Christian, but by the time I came along, my dad was sick on a kidney machine, and they sort of went, dad's thing was, if there is a God, then he's an asshole, because why would he do this to me, right? But my auntie, and if my auntie's on here, this is me sharing my truth, right? This is a bit scary for me in a way, actually. My auntie my auntie and my cousin Kathleen are very strong Christians, beautiful, beautiful people. And my auntie has been a rock in my life all my life. When life was challenging, Auntie Aussie was always there in her own way, right? Um, and I want to keep recording because I've got 365 days of this, and I want to show that this is raw, real, and I'm human. But Auntie Elsie, whenever she could get her hands on me, would have me come with her to church and to Sunday school and all of those things, which was very rare because my mum was very seclusive. She didn't let me do much. I think I met my grandparents maybe 5 times, 4 or 5 times. And then she stopped that visitation. And when Mum found out that I was going to church with Auntie Elsie, she wouldn't let me go there either, right? And so, but in saying that, I distinctly remember um, a moment at my Auntie Elsie's house where I was about 7 years old, and I think I was about 7, or maybe I was a little bit older. But anyway, I remember distinctly where I was. I was in her lounge room and she was in the kitchen, and it's a full one-room area, open plan. And we were talking about Jesus. And I can't remember the conversation exactly, but I remember saying to her, so you're telling me that if I ever get into trouble with anything, I'm in a dark alley and something bad's going to happen, all I've got to do is call on Jesus. And she said yes. And I distinctly remember this now I understand, energetic what happened. But this wash of energy came over me. And now, in reflection, I see that I had a spiritual baptism in that moment. Now, I had some pretty crazy experiences. My dad died when I was 15, and I and I went, excuse me, and I went a bit haywire, right? I lost the plot, and for 10 years, my partner and I were on drugs, and he became an alcoholic, and crazy experiences. And really, I should have been in some bad situations, but I know that I was protected and safe from some of those experiences, even though I did have some crazy experiences. I know that I could have quite easily died in some of those experiences, and I never did. So that was my first experience of Jesus, and I've got a really strong connection to him, to Christ consciousness, right? And fast forward to when I spiritually wake up, and I then am doing past life regression. And in one of the past life regressions, or several, but I get to this point where I discover that and I might have brought this up in one of the other sessions, I discover that I am an aspect of Mary Magdalene, right? Now, depending on where you're at with your information, in the Bible, Mary Magdalene was a prostitute and a whore, was condemned, though she was actually the first to find Jesus when he resurrected. She was very, very much a disciple of his. In other texts, Mary Magdalene even had her own gospel, and in other texts that is not in the Bible, she has been seen as a high priestess. In fact, I have seen that the Pope actually pardoned her and made her a prophet as well, I think, or a disciple. I can't remember, but there was something. One of the popes did that, right? Good on him. And so I have this distinct experience, and I think I shared it in one of the other days, so I'm not going to bring it up. But if you're interested, please subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, and go back in and check some of the other days that I have been doing as I'm sharing my spiritual journey. So that was another thing. Then I'm living in Far North Queensland and in Holloways Beach, and I was new to the area. And the first person that I meet is, I'm down the beach, and this dog bowls me over, and I meet this woman called Margaret, and she's in her 60s when I meet her, and she became like our surrogate grandmother. She was really good with the kids, and she was a Christian. I had a lot of Christians in my life because I had a lot of questions for Christians. So all the way through, even before I got to Far North Queensland, even when I was living in the country in Condobolin, I would have Christians always find me and follow me, right? As in follow me, trying to convert me. And when I was living in Condobolin, I had one of the local churches that would go knocking on the doors. The head honcho of that church was coming in from Orange, and they asked if I could have a meeting with him because they couldn't answer my questions, right? And so that didn't go down too well because he really wasn't able to answer my questions either. And so it stopped all the door knocking, right? Which was very interesting because I had this thing that, like, in Jesus's time, there was no thing, as Christianity. There were no churches. All of those things came later. And my thing is, Jesus was this amazing guy, just like Buddha, just like Muhammad, may I say, just like all the other, enlightened beings that come down with this information. Jesus had this thing that he wanted, he was sharing Unconditional love, non-judgment, compassion, and understanding, right? And that's a big thing, right? Like you think about that. Unconditional love for those that are around you, non-judgment of those that are around you, compassion for those that are around you, and understanding for those that are around you, right? Look at the world at the moment, guys. Have we sort of worked that out yet? So my thing was Jesus did not want to be put on a pedestal, and I get very passionate about it actually. So getting back to Margaret. Margaret was the latest Christian trying to convert me, and um, I had this thing that I wanted to understand what it was all about. And, I remember having this thing like, why are all these Christians in my life? Like, why am I supposed to be a Christian? And I remember one of my friends saying, did you ever think that you're supposed to be in their life? And it had never dawned on me. I'm like, wow, okay. I never thought of that, right? I didn't think much more about it, but I'd never thought about it the other way around. One day, I'm at my house, and it's the same house that the cat had you know, that story where the cat had done diarrhea all over the house, right? Go back and watch my other video. I was in the house and I was washing up and I was thinking, contemplating about this. What is my role and who am I, and am I supposed to be a Christian, and all of the things. And I sort of, now I understand, I surrendered at the time. And I just remember taking my hands out of the water and just going to the closest bedroom and just laying on the bed. And I have this vision of Jesus in front of me with the crown of thorns on his head. Now, I'm sure he put that there for me because in my mind, I'd grown up next to Catholics. And so the crown of thorns to me was a Catholic thing. I would not have put the crown of thorns on Jesus's head. It was not something that I would have done. So it wasn't my imagination. But I had this moment with Jesus, and Jesus said to me, why do you think it'd be any easier for you than it was for me? And I have this moment like, I didn't swear, but like, holy shit, they crucified you, right? And I have this moment of humility, like, oh yeah, okay. So it's okay for me to think the way I think and what I'm experiencing and all the things. It just gave me permission to be me, right? Fast forward, and I've had moments, other things that have come up for me. And fast forward, and uh, I go to a business training. This is really challenging. So I go to a business training. So I'm like living in Sydney at this stage. So this isn't that long ago. I'd say when I first moved down. So coming up to 10 years ago, I go to a business training. So we find this woman that I'm doing Young Living essential oils, and we're like, how come all these people in America are going from zero to diamond really fast? And what's their secret, right? And then one of us goes, oh, I think we've found out. There's this woman that they're going to seeing called Dani Johnson, and she does this course called First Steps to Success. She's retired at the moment, but go and check her out because she's very interesting. So we check her out and find out, and we find out that she's coming to New Zealand, right? So me and a couple of my friends that are all in Young Living, I think there was about 6 or 7 of us, pull our money together. I put the last of my money on my credit card to buy a ticket to go to New Zealand to see Dani Johnson, right? So we get all the information and all the booking and do the whole thing, the flights, because we've got to go from Sydney to Auckland, from Auckland to Kerry. We rented a car, like a van. I had to rent a van and drive for the first time in a different city, even though it was the same, country, even though it was on the same side. And all the things, got it all booked. And one of my friends rings up and goes, guess what? I think we're watching a screen at the back of a school in a hall. I don't think Danny Johnson's coming. I'm like, what? Like over $1,000, right? So you can imagine. So I find out that, I look down and find out who's organizing it. And I messaged this guy and I said, please don't tell me I've just spent well over $1,000 to watch a TV screen in the back of a hall. And he messages me back and says, yes, you did. And here's some of the testimonials from people before you. So I'm like, man, we go to this event. I got to tell you, we drive up this range. It's pelting down with rain, like that Star Wars sort of rain that's coming to you. I was doing 60 in a minivan. I'd never driven a minivan before. Middle of the night, pelting down rain in 100 zone. It was crazy. We get there and we go and watch this thing. This woman comes onto the screen with beautiful big long legs, beautiful brown hair. She's in a white dress, skin tight dress, mini skirt dress with red lips and red stiletto heels, and our mouth drops, right? Like, oh my gosh, who on earth is this? Well, 3 days of training, and I wrote nearly a full book. It was just so good. Everything from relationships, personality types, vision, looking at your visions, you name it, it was in there. It was amazing, amazing information. And we get to the end of it, and she said, by the way, I've been teaching you out of the best success book ever written. Turns out she's talking about the Bible, right? We all come home. Couple of the 6 or 7 of us think that it's a cult, and off they go. But me and about 3 or 4 of the others, one of them was already a Christian, and she just dived straight into the Bible. I start reading the Bible, and so does another couple of other people. And I'm reading the Bible, and I'm just like getting all this information. I read it from cover to cover. So I read the Bible from cover to cover 3 times now, right? Long story short, I find myself, I don't know how I did it. That's right. I met a guy on a dating app, and somehow he was from the Gold Coast. I was in Sydney. We don't even know how we'd connected on this dating app because it was supposed to be location orientated. And he was coming to Sydney to go to an event with his local church. And I find myself in this church. Amazing, amazing information. They had dissected the Bible with some really great, really powerful information, looked at it in depth and really did some, I just ate it all up because my mind loves that sort of stuff. That guy did the dirty on me. And I'm not going to go into that because it's not relevant to today. But I got really burnt. I thought that he was a good Christian man, and he wasn't. And I found also the same thing that was happening in with this community, and again, it's like so many of these communities end up being like cultish. Like everyone is following rather than actually using their mind and connected here instead of there, right? And that was my thing, like I wanted a direct connection with God, a direct connection with my higher self, direct connection with Jesus. And so anyway, I just started my business, and I'm going to cough, sorry. I just started my business, and I was doing Young Living in my business, and the business mentor said to me, we have an onboarding call, and she's like, what are you doing Young Living for if you can do past life regression and stuff and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, this part of my business that I'm doing now was birthed, and I started a Facebook group called Women of Light. That's important to remember. Women of Light. So I'm at this event and I'm feeling a bit burnt by the Christian community and this guy in particular, and the whole thing about who am I and what is all of this religious stuff and where do I sit with it and what am I supposed to be doing, right? Because I have a very strong belief that no one person has the answer. No one religion has the answer. Um, and there's proof in the Bible, because in the Bible, the very first thing God says is, I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am all of it. I am everything. You cannot deny people that are Muslim or people that are Buddhist or people that are atheists or people that are science buffs. You cannot deny that part, because then you're denying an aspect of God, right? My opinion. So I'm in this business thing, and I want to do this process that they're the Abundance Club, right? And I have this moment where I have this transformation. So the next day is transformation day, and I think, oh, I've had my transformation already. Like, it's all good. Again, the ego, right? And so they put this music on and it's really loud and they're doing a guided meditation. It was like, what's that? Not the Grinch, Christmas. I can't think of it, what it is, but it's, the spirit of the past, present, and the future, right? So you go into the past and look at where you're at in the past and in the present, and if you keep doing that trajectory, where will you be in the future, and which future do you really want to choose, right? So anyway, I'm doing this whole thing, and I've got this thing about the two trees. So my thing is the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and that we're all in the tree of knowledge of good and evil because we're in our mind, right? So I'm going through this process with the meditation, and I have this moment of, where am I? What am I doing? Oh my gosh, I don't understand all of this, and it doesn't make sense to me, and this is what my heart feels, and should I be a Christian? Shouldn't I be a Christian? And I remember that in the Bible um, it says in the Bible, Jesus said, because you can call on people and they say, if you call on somebody, somebody else can come, an evil spirit can come or something like that. In the Bible it says, if you call on me, Jesus Christ, and use my name, no one else can come but me, right? So no one can deny this. Anyone that's listening to this and knows the Bible, that's the truth. It's in the Bible. So I have this moment where I remember that bit of the Bible. And so I call on Jesus. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I have that moment. I know the purity of it. I know my innocence. And I call on Jesus Christ. And this energy again, like when I was 7 years old, this energy washes over me. And this voice inside my head starts saying, stay with me, stay with me. And I literally fall on the ground bawling, because in that message, in that movement, in that essence, that energy, it wasn't just stay with me. The information that I was getting was that he had been with me, Jesus had been with me all my life, all the way through knowing my dad was going to die, all the way through the 10 years of being on drugs, all the way through past life regression, all the bad choices, all the good choices, everything that I had experienced. And I knew in that one moment that no person, no book, no one outside of me could give me the connection that I was having and that I do have with Christ, the Christ consciousness energy that comes from here, that relationship. Now, I also know that God is okay with you calling him God, Lord, all that is, super conscious, higher self, soul, light, however it is, because that's love, that's compassion, that's understanding, right? It's not like, excuse me, it's not like a berated father, which is some of the stuff that's in the Bible, the jealous God, right? I could go into more of that. And really these days, I got right into the Bible, and there's a whole heap of stuff that I absolutely love in there. There's quantum physics, there's law of attraction. There's so much juicy information in that book. And I haven't read it for a long time because I've been on my own spiritual path and my own spiritual journey here first. And my thing is that any religion that is saying we are better and we're going to heaven and you're not will be destroyed as we move into the fifth dimension, which is unity consciousness. And Jesus was in fifth, sixth, and seventh dimension, where he was the creator. And that's why he was able to heal the way he was. He knew and he saw people in their true, pure essence. And never would he see them in their damaged state. And so he held the vision of who they were. And because of his understanding, they had faith, and all of the molecules changed and shifted and they healed themselves, right? Or they were healed. And so I believe that everything is one and we're all having a massive experience of life here. That's all this amazing, amazing consciousness that you may call God. You may have a different name for it, but it's all the same thing. And we're all part of the one experience. And we're here to listen, understand, compassion, unconditional love, all of those things. In fact, I did have another moment where someone told me way before I'd read the Bible, I said, what part of the Bible is actually about Jesus? And he was telling me there was this part where someone asked Jesus what the most important of the 10 commandments is. And he said to love God above all is the first one. But now we've got that out of the way, is to love your neighbor as you wish to be loved yourself. And I had an image of myself standing on a pulpit in a church and reading out of their Bible that quote, and then looking up and closing the book and going, now let's go and do that. And when we've sorted that bit out, then we can come back and read the rest. Because until you can love your neighbor as you wish to be loved yourself, all the rest is irrelevant.